regular meeting of the Putnam County Legislature. Tonight is August 6, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I recognize Legislator Castellano to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. I recognize Legislator Crowley to lead us in a legislative prayer.
Let me be willing to see the big picture in all things, act in accordance with my best, most ethical self, and grant the benefit of the doubt to all those I meet. Amen.
Amen. Roll call, please.
District 1, Legislator Montgomery. Here. District 2, Legislator Gould.
Present.
District 3, Legislator Edmondson.
Present.
District 4, Legislator Mascarino. Present. District 5, Legislator Elmer.
Here.
District 7, Legislator Castellano.
Present.
District 8, Legislator Sage. District 9, Legislator Crowley.
Present.
District 6, Chairman Young.
Present. This time I recognize Legislator Edmondson for a proclamation. It's Overdose Awareness Day, August 31st, 2024.
Convention Council. Hi. Anyone else? You're doing on myself. Putnam County does affirm and acknowledge the harm and hardship caused by drug overdose. Whereas we recognize the purpose of International Overdose Awareness Day is remembering loved ones lost to overdose and ending the stigma of drug-related deaths. Whereas we resolve to play our part in reducing the toll of overdose in our community, which claimed the lives of 14 Putnam County residents last year together, with countless more affected forever. And whereas we affirm that the people affected by overdose are our sons, our daughters, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and they are deserving of our love, compassion, and support. Now therefore be it resolved, the Putnam County Executive and the Putnam County Legislature do hereby proclaim August 31st, 2024 is International Overdose Awareness Day in Putnam County. And thank you for all you do. This is near and dear to my heart because my cousin, first cousin, overdosed. And every day I say, I wish I could have done more for her. Tried helping her, and it's very sad. And I just want to thank you.
Thank you. And you did everything you could. Thank you. Sure. I brought my glasses and I wrote down something because last year I think I spoke too long. So I just want to say something short and sweet. Can you hold this one? Sure. Sorry. So let me see. Okay. So I just want to say that the Prevention Council of Putnam, Friends of Recovery Putnam, and Run for Recovery would like to say thank you to the legislator for the recognition of International Overdose Awareness Day. Substance misuse, fatal and non-fatal overdose continues to affect Putnam County residents. Using evidence-based, data-driven strategies to provide supports and services to our residents is the best way for us to continue working on reducing overdose here in Putnam. We do this with the help of providers, community agencies, and our local police departments. And I want to say thank you to the Chief McConville, because he's right here. Thank you, Chief. If you have a chance to please get Narcan trained, and if you don't know where to go, just give us a call. You may save a life one day. And thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4 is acceptance of minutes for the regular meeting June 4th, 2024. Item number 5 is correspondence from the county auditor. There's no activity for this reporting period. This time, on behalf of legislators Castellano, Mascarino, and myself, as chairman of the Personnel Committee, I'd like to move forward with item 6A, which is the approval of a budgetary amendment for the District Attorney's Office, New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services grant funding, It's the reclassification of an assistant district attorney to appellate attorney and assistant district attorney to assistant district attorney bureau chief. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Item 6B is approval of a fund transfer for the health department. It's rabies, vaccines, and co-pay. It's in the amount of $17,000 with no fiscal impact. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Item 6C is the approval of a fund transfer for the health department. Tuberculosis lab analysis and tuberculosis co-pay. It's in the amount of $14,000. No fiscal impact. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. 6D is the approval of a fund transfer in the health department. It's for administrative temporary help in the amount of $10,000 with no fiscal impact. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. 6E is the approval of a fund transfer in the health department. Nursing overtime. That's in the amount of $10,000 with no fiscal impact. Discussion. Yes.
I just have a comment, just I think it's important to point out because the public isn't really seeing this agenda and we're not going to look, but we're short 3 nurses in the health department, and my comment is that I hope during the budget season that the administration and the legislature consider this and that we can once again have a robust health department by offering more incentives to hire more nurses for Putnam County.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Item 6F is the approval of a fund transfer, Sheriff's Department, corrections cook overtime. It's in the amount of $11,898 with no fiscal impact. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. 6G is the approval of a fund transfer in the Sheriff's Department. Corrections cook temporary. This is in the amount of $10,240 with no fiscal impact. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Item 6H is the approval of a budgetary transfer, social services, for the reclassification of senior data entry operator to principal office assistant. It's in the amount of $42,250 with no fiscal impact. This is something that's required of that department. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Item 6I is the approval of our standard workday and reporting resolution. Something that we do from time to time. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. At this time, on behalf of legislators Crowley, Goldman, and Chairwoman Sage of the Health Department, Health Committee, who can't be here today, I'd like to move forward with item 6J, which is the approval of the budgetary amendment for social services. It is mental health local government unit county contributions. $309,609, no fiscal impact. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. At this time, I recognize legislator Adonisio, the chairwoman of the Rules, Enactments, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee.
Thank you, Chairman Yogi. On behalf of myself, legislators Elder and Nassau, move to 6K, which is the budgetary amendment, 24A059. This was reviewed and approved in Rules and Order. This is for the Sheriff's Department, boiler replacement and life safety systems using the county department funding.
Discussion. This is in the amount of $875,000. All in favor? Aye.
Moving on to L. 6L is approval for Town of Phillipstown ARPA funding reallocation, which the Putnam County Legislature also reviewed and approved.
Discussion.
Comment?
Yes.
This is for the Town of Phillipstown. I'd just like to thank the legislature for considering this, as well as the county executive and Jen Caruso. This was a very difficult process and a very difficult situation with the Garrison Landing Water District. And I think, much collaboration, they found a solution and a way to reallocate those funds to make it work for the Town of Phillipstown. The town supervisor is happy, so I'm happy. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
6M is the approval of budgetary amendment 24A-060, Town of Phillipstown ARPA funding reallocation, $369,670.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, I call on Legislator Elner, the chairman of the Physical Services Committee.
On behalf of legislators Castellano and Crowley, I move for item 6N, which is a budgetary amendment for DPW, its insurance funds that we have recovered. Thank you to Risk Manager Matt Bruno. It's in the amount of $28,385.43.
Discussion. Matt Bruno's really done a great job for the county. This money coming in is all due to his hard work. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 6.0 is for approval for budgetary amendment 24A-074 for the Maybrook Bikeway Phase 2 Bridge 5 project, ID number 875684. Bids came in. This was much more expensive than originally anticipated. We want to go forward with the project, so we're going to be adding $1,719,402 to the project. The fiscal impact this year is $1,175,000.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. 6P is for the inclusion of parcels into the Putnam County Agricultural District. The resolution, based on recommendations from the Physical Services Committee, the resolution is to decline to include any of the parcels requested for inclusion into the Putnam County Agricultural District.
Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, before you proceed with other discussion, as a reminder, the Chairman Youngkin stated at the beginning of the hearing that there was an error in the location of one of the parcels. So the resolution as currently drafted has Hidden Hope Farm in the town of Southeast, and it should probably be in the town of Patterson. We may want to call for a motion to amend to just transfer Hidden Hope Farm from being categorized in Southeast into the town of Patterson. Correct that error.
I move to amend the pre-filed resolution to include the correct location for Hidden Hope Farm to Patterson.
Second.
Second.
Do we need discussion? Discussion. Council pretty much explained why we're doing this. Any other discussion?
Not that. Okay, we'll finish the other vote, sorry.
This would just be a vote on the motion to amend to change the town.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we're now discussing the amended resolution. Discussion. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. This year we had 10 parcels that came up to the Agricultural Board, and the Ag Board approved 5 of those parcels to be included into the Putnam County Agricultural District. During the Physical Services Committee this past month, all the parcels that were brought up were voted down. This legislative body appoints members to the Agricultural Board and several other boards throughout the county to render expert advice to the legislature on agriculture and farming issues here in Putnam County. I've spoken to the supervisor of Putnam Valley and the town board. They are supportive of the Big Red on Farm parcel in Putnam Valley that was presented to be put into the agricultural district. Today, the members of the legislature received 2 letters. One from Jacqueline Nabi, the supervisor of Putnam Valley, and Richard Coyanta, the code enforcement officer of Putnam Valley, in support of putting the Big Red Barn Farm in the agricultural district. Because of this, I'm making a motion to amend this and to add the Big Red Barn Farm, Joey Mancuso, tax map number 72.16-1-1, which is 67.5 acres to the agricultural district. I support this, and I'll be voting yes, and I hope my colleagues also support this, to add this on to the agricultural district for this year. Thank you.
Point of order. There's a motion.
Second.
Second. Discussion.
I understand what my colleague is trying to do, but the resolution is to decline inclusion. So what has to be is the resolution needs to be modified to exclude that property, and then that property would have to be voted on separately, correct?
Through the chair, if I understand Legislator Goulden's motion, it would be to amend the resolved clause to adopt, to include only Big Red Barn Farm and not any of the others. So you're adding one property for inclusion. So I think it could be amended that way without having to do it in 2 separate steps. We would just have to change the last resolved clause to include the one parcel that Legislator Goulden has moved to amend, to include.
We have discussion. Yes.
Some guidance from the legislative attorney. I would like to pull all the parcels out and vote on them one by one. So to go about doing that, would I propose a resolution, a motion to separate the vote and do parcel by parcel?
Currently, there's one motion on the floor, and that's Legislator Goulden's to add one. If that is carried, you could still move to amend again and include all the parcels. If the motion is successfully amended to include all the parcels, any legislator may make a request to divide the question. It's not even a motion. Upon the request of any legislator, the question shall be divided. So you would be able to call for a vote on each parcel individually if the motion to include all the parcels in an amended resolution is successful.
So we're having discussion on Legislator Goulden's motion to amend.
And seconded. And it was seconded.
It was said, right, so we're having a discussion. I guess, now's the time for me to say my 2 cents. Anybody who was at or watched the physical service meeting knows that I'm inclined to vote for these parcels. The problem is, it was brought to our attention, for me it's the first time in 8 years of my experience here, where I learned that there was a resolution that required, the parcels shall have 50% of prime, not viable, but prime farmland. Okay, that's our rule. I don't really see how I can go outside the rule. I'm inclined, I like the Lobster Hill Farm, it's in my district, it's in my town, I love the whole idea about it. I think they're disqualified because it's currently a violation on the property. So I believe that they're currently ineligible anyway.
Absolutely not.
This is not a back and forth. I'm giving.
There's no violation. There are no violations on our property.
We got a violation last week.
Bullshit.
No.
Sorry.
I'm not getting.
No,
I'm getting my feelings. I'm getting my explanation as to why I'm going to vote the way I'm going to vote. I do think, and I am supportive of amending that resolution so that we can include, because apparently we have included people without farms without looking at their soil types. And I don't think that that was right. And I don't think it was ever brought to our attention before now. I attended the Ag Board meeting where the vote was taken. That information was not given to us.
The violation is...
No, I'm not, sir, I'm not having a discussion. I was at the Ag Board meeting, and it was not, the soil types were never mentioned. This came up after the Ag Board meeting, so I think that the votes that were taken, people weren't given the information. I think that maybe Neil learned about this between the time the Ag Board made their vote and our physical service meeting. I believe that. That's why I'm going to vote the way I vote. I'm going to vote. Nancy.
I would just like to thank everybody who participated in this process for coming out tonight. I think you really opened a window for the legislature to see what agriculture is like in Putnam County. And obviously it's robust and there's a lot of support for it. I too had difficulty with this situation with, oh, this is a resolution that we passed 8 years ago or however many years ago that has this arbitrary number for, you know, soil quality that I would guess that no parcel in Putnam almost doesn't have. I wonder if our Tilly Foster Farm, which is not in the Ag District but is not taxable, we don't tax that land, even has that soil quality, but we treat it as a farm and a wedding venue and a bar and a rock and roll venue. But so I wonder that, and I do have to say that we have many resolutions that we've passed in this county that we don't implement. I can rattle off a number of them, but it would be quite embarrassing. So to just do it now, obviously there was a very lengthy process that our expert volunteer board, the Agricultural Board, invested a lot of time and effort in approving 5 parcels to be in the Ag District. This was a democratic process that was fair. We have some amazing expertise on that Ag Board, and I would, at this point, defer to those 5 approved applications that the Ag Board put forward. They are our advisory board, we appoint them, I respect their input tonight, and I think in the future we can revise this process. It should be treated as what I would think like a planning board process, where you have a pre-application meeting, you're given all the information that you need to apply, you go back and you gather that, and but as was pointed out tonight, none of the information that we're requiring was even given to these applicants. So to impose that on them because of a hidden resolution that we passed a long time ago that somebody found, you know, as I said, if we're going to do that, then let's pull all the resolutions. Let's pull all the mandates that we have in this county that are not being implemented or followed, and let's start implementing them, if that's what we're talking about here. But at this point, I believe in this democratic process that happened with the Agricultural Board, and I will be voting in favor of the 5 districts that the 5 parcels that the Agricultural Board put forward for approval tonight.
I appreciate everyone who came out today and speak. You brought some very important information forward. Problem I have is that both as a legislator and the Physical Services Committee Chairman, I'm bound by the rules. And the rules as they exist today will prevent me from voting in favor of any of these parcels. One thing that I will absolutely do is, going forward, review this resolution in the future as it needs to be modified. But today, my hands are tied. I have to follow the rules. And that's the way I'm going to vote.
Any other discussion? Legislator Castellano.
I'm going to echo what Legislator Elmer just said. Certainly we have resolutions. We should be following our resolutions. This resolution was created in 2007. It says must have. It doesn't say shall have, it doesn't say should have, it says must have. And I'm all in favor for changing the resolution. It is a process. Unfortunately, we can't change it on the fly. We can't change it tonight. It's something that should be looked at. It won't be on the legislature next year, but I'm sure my colleagues will take a close look at it and amend it as necessary. We're not closing anybody out tonight. Nobody's getting shut down. But unfortunately, I am bound by what that resolution says in 2007.
I myself am very conflicted listening to all the comments, and I do take them all very seriously. But I have to agree with my colleagues that as a lawmaker, it is my responsibility to be bound to follow the law. There's state law that's being imposed, and also a resolution that is on the books that we must follow, as the language indicates. And I can't see in good faith as a lawmaker that I would deviate from circumventing the law.
It's not state.
Any other discussion?
It's not state law.
It's not state law.
No, there's not going
But
to be
there's
any
no
cross
comment,
out.
but
There's
there's
not going to be.
state law under consideration. I will just say that.
We're going to have a roll call vote on Legislator Goulman's motion.
Legislator Anunzio.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
No.
Legislator Crowley.
Yes.
Legislator Elmer.
No.
Legislator Goldman.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery.
Yes.
Legislator Nasarino.
No.
Legislator Sage. Chairman Young.
No.
Motion fails.
So we're back to the original item on the agenda. Discussion.
I would like to make a motion to amend the original resolution to include the town of Phillipstown, Pine View Farm, tax map number 71, for approval. For inclusion. Can I do all of them? Is that more efficient? I mean,
Through the chair,
I'd like to be
if you want to make a motion to include all the parcels, you can. And
well,
then if that motion carries, then you can move to divide the question. Ultimately, you have to go through a motion to amend for each one.
okay, so I will make a motion to include all of the parcels that were put forward for inclusion. Actually, not for inclusion, because there are some that we won't, I want to vote on all of them. Is that how you want me to phrase it?
Through the chair, do you want to move to include the 5 that were recommended by the Ag Board, or do you want to move to consider all, each parcel with a separate vote?
I make a motion to include the 5 that the Agricultural Board put forward to the legislature for approval. Do you want me to name them?
No. We'll do number 5. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay. Discussion.
So, again, there's lots of comments, obviously, if I may, sorry, through the chair. Thank you. There were a lot of incorrect comments. Obviously, the legislature doesn't understand completely, what that resolution means, what's state law, what's county resolution. Again, I'd like to point to the many resolutions that we've passed over my 6 years here so far, that we pass and we don't implement. I mean, I think last year we passed a resolution or a policy that we don't allow dogs in county buildings. Well, I've seen plenty of pictures this year of dogs in county buildings, and they're not dogs for service. If you want to talk about mandates, resolutions, policies, state laws, we had a mask mandate that this county just refused to follow. Despite my plea to please put a mask on, I'm going home to a sick kid and he's going to die. We refused to do that. We have a police policy review that we actually passed a resolution and we submitted it to the state and we all voted on it and we're supposed to be implementing it. None of it's implemented. So we're going to just arbitrarily just decide to impose this. There's obviously a lot of public interest. There's an educational component. There's an environmental component. These people are hardworking Putnam County people who are just trying to run a small business. We don't do much else in this county to support small businesses, so I think this is a really good way to do it.
Discussion? Legislator Elmer.
I respectfully disagree with my colleague. The original resolution, when it was made, it was very specific, researching that the legislature at that time chose to exclude parts of what was available to them under New York State law. So this resolution was made specifically with exclusions. To the best of my knowledge, because Neil Tolman is not here today, but he mentioned to me that the last time that there were parcels put up for inclusion, there were 4 of them. 2 of those parcels failed because they did not have the requisite 50% soil requirement. Now that 50% requirement is not only quality of the soil, it also has to deal with steep slopes. As I said before, I have to go by what's before me, the resolution, and also New York State Ag and Markets Law 29 in regards to commercial horse boarding operation, where it says that there must be at least 10 horses on the property. So I'm going to vote in that manner.
Any other discussion? Yes.
Just to be clear, my intentions were that I have verified both the resolution and the state law that is imposed upon us, and as a lawmaker, I have to comply in good faith.
I agree. We have rules. I can't, they're not arbitrary, they're rules. So we're just going to forget the rules and vote against it. I'm all in favor of going back next year and changing the rules to make sure that these farms can be included. I have no problem with that. But under the way the rules are written right now, we can't do that. So with that, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote.
Mr. Chairman, could we
We have to
please?
separate the five.
I make a motion to divide the vote.
This is a motion to amend, to include the 5. After the motion, if the motion is successful, then when the resolution is voted on, the question can be divided to vote on each of the 5 individually. But right now, it's just a motion to amend the resolution.
Right.
I don't think that's a divisible.
No, but I'm asking for a roll call vote on.
But I believe Legislator Crowley and Legislator Montgomery were asking to divide the question at this point. I'm not sure it can be. The motion.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear anybody say that. So we have a motion and a second, and we've had our discussion. We can have a vote, can we not?
Yes, except that Legislator Crowley asked me, can we divide that question, and I don't believe we can at this point. I think this is a motion just on whether to amend. If it's successful, then the ultimate vote on the resolution could be a divided question, so that each parcel is accepted.
Roll call vote.
Legislator Edmondson.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
No.
Legislator Crowley.
Yes.
Legislator Elmer.
No.
Legislator Gould.
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery.
Yes.
Legislator Nasarino.
No.
Legislator Sage. Chairman Young.
No.
Motion fails.
We're back to the original resolution. Discussion. Roll call vote.
What are we
Can
voting on?
we clarify?
6P, we're voting on.
Mr. Chairman, now there would be discussion on the main motion, since there's no more motions to amend.
Right, I said discussion, there was no discussion, so I'm calling for the vote. Nobody,
I put up my hand, I wanted to add a separate ag district, which I can do. I
You
can
could make a
make,
motion to amend as well.
I can make I'd like to amend to add number 3, Honovich Farmers Ranch, Lobster Hill Farm, Big Red Farm, and Old Stone Farm.
Second.
Discussion. You want to comment to support your?
Yeah, I think that right now we have a very antiquated resolution. The soil quality is not in law, it is a resolution, and I don't believe that it's up to date. I don't believe it provides farmers the ability to do what they need to do in a very expensive world. And I think they add a lot to our community. I think it's very important that we take them seriously, and we need to revisit the resolution next year. But this year, I believe in my heart that they're doing the right thing, and I need to follow my conscience on this.
Any other discussion? Yes.
At least one of the parcels which you have recommended is a horse breeding operation, and that is unequivocally state law, which requires at least 10 horses and $10,000 worth of revenue.
Asked and answered.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Anizio.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
No.
Legislator Crowley.
Yes.
Legislator Elmer.
No.
Legislator Goldman.
I'm sorry, what are we voting on here? 6B?
Yeah. So,
Motion to amend to add 4 parcels.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yes, it was Ridge Ranch number 3, number 5 was Lobster Hill Farm, 6 was Big Red Barn, and 9 was Old Stone Farm.
Yes, sorry.
Legislator Montgomery.
yes.
Legislator Mascherino.
No.
Legislator Sage. Chairman Young.
No.
Motion fails.
Go back to the original resolution again. Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
I'd like to make a motion to table this until the 25th and have a special meeting.
Second.
Discussion.
There's
Oh, there's no,
motion.
roll call vote, please.
Legislator Anizio.
Yes.
Legislator Castellano.
No.
Legislator Crowley.
Yes.
Legislator Elmer.
No.
Legislator Goldman.
We're voting on,
Table.
Tabling it so we can change the resolution.
we're voting on 6B or
To
the?
table.
To table.
Table. Yes.
Legislator Montgomery.
Yes.
Legislator Mascherino.
Yes.
Legislator Sage. Chairman Young.
No.
Motion carries.
Item 6Q, we are approving the appointments of 3 gentlemen to fill vacancies of Putnam County Soil and Water Conservation Board. Fred Finger of Putnam Valley, unexpired term of Urban Boyd. So this term will expire December of 24. Dave Vickery of Phillipstown, unexpired term, which will expire December 31st, 2025. And Max Garfinkel of Hopewell Junction for a 3-year term, set to expire December 31st, 2026.
Discussion.
One of the members on this list is Fred Finger. He's a very dedicated individual from Putnam Valley, and hopefully this will be Thank you.
I'm really happy to be appointing these people to the Soil and Water Conservation Board. Fred taught with my dad at Putnam Valley Schools. Max Garfinkel was just one of my most proudest moments was appointing him to be the wetlands inspector in Phillipstown, because he's just by far the best resource Phillipstown has seen in Dave Vickery for his expertise in soil and water and farming, and I'm very excited to be appointing these people. Any help?
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye. 6R is approval for a negative declaration SECRA. The county is going to be the lead agency regarding adding a ADA compatible ramp to the Dade County office building. Being the county's the lead agency, we've seen no adverse effects, and a draft environmental impact statement is not necessary and will not be prepared.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. 6S, the easiest way to describe this is a waiver project, Croton Falls Road, Bud Pond Outlet Culvert Rehabilitations in the town of Carmel. The project is eligible for reimbursement of certain qualified costs from Bridge, New York. However, we want to get this project going, so the county is going to go forward with $2,632,924 to be apportioned from the capital budget line, so we can get the whole project moving, and then we will seek reimbursement for the applicable funds.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. 6T is the budget amendment for the project which we just discussed. We're moving money around. We're moving money around the $2,632,924 from budget lines, and there will be no fiscal impact this year and next year.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. 6U has to do with some matching funds for the Fair Street reconstruction project. This is a very, very large project. Total of $30,212,500. Again, we want to get it moving, so we're adding at this point $3,707,500, so we can get this thing going. And again, the program will be eligible for some reimbursement costs, but we have to get it going. Reimbursement is based on an 80-20.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. 6V is a budgetary amendment showing the lines where we're going to increase the capital expenditure by $3,707,050, and it shows where there's federal aid, $2,966,000, and we're transferring money in from the general fund. Basically, this is how we're going to pay for it. There's no fiscal impact this year and in 2025.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. This is a similar situation where we want to implement the funding for 100% of the cost for a transportation project, of which the qualified costs may be reimbursed. This is for Peekskill Hollow Road, Peekskill Hollow Creek culvert replacement within the town of Kent. Total is going to be $1,840,000. Bridge, New York, hopefully will be replacing most, if not all, of this to us.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. 6X is the budgetary amendment where we're showing where we're taking the money from. $1,840,000 is going to go into capital expenditures, Peekskill Hollow Road, and it's going to come from state aid. So there will be no fiscal impact in 2024 and 2025.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Final thing from physical services is item 6Y. The county held an auction for real property that we had taken because of failure to pay taxes. And there is a schedule, and this is to accept and sell all of the properties on the attached schedule, Schedule A. I do want to read that part of this resolution is in the event any of the highest bidders fail to complete the transaction as specified in the promulgated terms and conditions of the auction, the county attorney is authorized to complete the transaction with the second highest bidder in the same manner as set for the above. So if someone bid and they defaulted, then the second low bidder we will go. And this only has to do with bids that were defaulted, not bids that were pulled.
Can I be heard on this matter? Mike Dean told me that I could address the assembly regarding this auction.
Not here, there will be an opportunity for public comment when this meeting is over.
But if you're going to have a resolution to adopt what transpired during the auction.
We had a committee meeting, then we discussed that act. So at this point, the discussion is just among the legislature.
So when will I be able to comment?
There's a public comment period right after the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tonight, right after this meeting.
Tonight, okay,
It's
sorry.
part of the same meeting, it's just
I'm new at this.
at the end. But
Discussion.
we will vote before you can comment, just so you know.
Discussion.
It won't affect his parcel. His parcel is excluded from this list.
Is
Okay.
that lot 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Just finish our discussion. I want to thank Commissioner Lewis and the Finance Department for doing such a great job on this. We've had properties that have been sitting around for 8-9 years. That, by the way, we reimburse the towns and the school district on their full assessment. We pay taxes on these properties, so great job by them. All in favor? Aye. At this time, I'd like to recognize Legislator Nasarino, the chairwoman of the Protective Services Committee.
Thank you, Chairman Yaffe. On behalf of myself and legislators Albanese on stage, I would like to move forward with agenda item 6Z, approval budgetary amendment 24A051, Sheriff Department Emergency Services and Social Services Mental Health Domestic Terrorism Prevention Grant, DTP Grant Program, Threat Assessment and Management Teams. This is a request to amend Resolution 60 of 2024 and to reclassify the revenue expenses related to this grant. So it's merely a housekeeping detail to put the money in the correct codes, and it's in the amount of $50,000.
Discussion.
Well, we're just moving money around laterally.
All in favor?
Aye. Agenda item 6AA is a budgetary amendment 24A056, Sheriff's Department outside donations. This is a donation from Green Chimneys for a K-9 program, and it's in the amount of $200 incoming revenue.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Moving on to agenda item 6BB is approval of budgetary amendment 24A0677, Sheriff's Department for overtime reimbursement to New York State and Stafford DWI Foundation. This is an amount of $282.11 for overtime for the drug recognition expert.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Agenda item 6C is the approval budgetary amendment, Sheriff's Department, New York State Division of Criminal Justice Law Enforcement Technology Program. The Sheriff's Office received from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice a non-matching grant opportunity to support law enforcement technology purchases. On May 31st, the DCJS notified the Putnam County Sheriff's Department that they would receive funding in the amount of $119,411.51 under the State Law Enforcement Technology PTEC program for the fiscal year 24 through 25. This is incoming money in the amount of $119,411.51 for technology equipment.
Discussion. All in favor?
Agenda item 6BD is approval confirmation of appointments to the Putnam County Emergency Services Advisory Board. The county executive has appointed the following: Michael McCluskey, Emergency Medical Services Council Representative, for the remainder of the 3-year term, said term to expire December 31st, 2026. And Catherine Lewis, Emergency Medical Services Council Representative, for the remainder of the 3-year term, said term to expire December 31st, 2024.
Discussion. Yes.
Thank you. These are very good appointments. I know Michael Bukowski. He's extremely qualified and knowledgeable in this field. And will be a big asset for Putnam County Emergency Services Safety Board as a representative to the EMS Council. I will be supporting him and Catherine Lewis to the board. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Agenda item 6E is authorization for an intermunicipal agreement with Westchester County to effectuate the installation of mobile radios for the police departments participating in a mutual aid and rapid response plan. The County of Putnam and the County of Westchester created and entered into a mutual aid and rapid response plan to formalize operational procedures for law enforcement to assist participating agencies. The County of Putnam is in need of mobile radios for its municipal police vehicles program with radio communication systems that will allow to communicate with the County of Westchester, law enforcement, fire, EMS, and other first responders. The County of Westchester will provide mobile radios to the County of Putnam, as well as the initial radio program services at no charge to the County of Putnam to carry out the plan. Therefore, be resolved, the County of Putnam is hereby authorized to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the County of Westchester in order to effectuate the installation and operation of mobile radios and municipal police vehicles. Resolved that the term of the IMA will be 5 years commencing January 2024 and continuing through January 2029. Be it further resolved that the county executive is authorized to execute said IMA on behalf of the County of Putnam.
Discussion.
I just have a comment. I'll be voting in favor of this, but as I said at the committee meeting, I would like some clarification as to how this will work with our new radio system that we have invested $10 million or more in. It's you know, I hope it was considered because all of these radios should, I hope, work together. Most of the time, you're all on calls together, and to have the police, to have the sheriffs to have a separate radio, is it not going to talk to the fire radios? I would have liked some clarification as to how this is going to work with this major multi-million-dollar investment we're making in radios for fire and EMS.
Yes.
I'd also like to comment, I just would like to hope that in the future there, as Under Sheriff Linder could commented, that there weren't channels left, which is why we received them. Hopefully we are actively searching for a resolution to this issue to eliminate having to have so much equipment and bring it down to one radio. But as for now, I'm happy to have intermunicipal agreement, and hopefully there will be a resolution somewhere soon.
Any other discussion?
There's a lot to digest, but we talk about it.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, moving on to 6FF is the approval of a resolution advocating against OSHA occupational safety and health administration reforms in New York State for firefighters. While we recognize and appreciate the work OSHA does to safeguard and protect our safety, we join our fire departments and other elected officials opposing the proposed changes set forth, which will dramatically change the face of fire services in the U.S., New York State, and Putnam County, with significant changes to the OSHA Rule 1910.156. The fire brigade standard on February 24, 2024 by converting the current fire brigade standard to the proposed emergency response standard. The County of Putnam has serious concerns that the proposed changes will have major implications for every firefighter in the county, through unfunded mandates and possible fines for noncompliance, along with the imposition of additional liabilities under fire service organizations and municipalities. The County of Putnam believes that the proposed changes are not economically and technically feasible for our volunteer fire service in its present form and will cause our volunteer fire departments significant financial burden and hardships through increased costs for administration, training, equipment inspection and replacement, and facility renovations. The County of Putnam believes the best service to the taxpayers and fire service community at large is for OSHA to start this rulemaking process over from the beginning. Therefore, be it resolved that the County of Putnam, mindful of its responsibility to safeguard the interest and welfare of its residents, hereby expresses its reservations to the proposed changes to OSHA Rule 1910.156 and respectfully request that OSHA, in conjunction with our state and national officials, give due considerations to the consideration documented in said resolution. Resolved that the county clerk of the legislature is directed to forward copies of this resolution to OSHA, U.S. Senators Charles Schumer and Christian Gillibrand, U.S. Representative Mike Lawler, Governor Kathy Hochul, Senator Peter Harkin, Assemblyman Matt Slater, and Daniel Levenberg, and any other deemed necessary and proper. We face real challenges with this reform. We know and we speak often of the difficulty in getting volunteers for our volunteer fire departments and to retain people in our volunteer fire departments. These restrictions bring on more undue burden and mandates that will really jeopardize our fire departments both fiscally, economically, and manpower as well. And I know that Legislator Goldman was brought this forward in committee, and if you'd like to get some comments as well, or share some of my concerns.
Legislator Goldman.
Thank you, Chairman. It is good that OSHA is doing things to improve the safety of individuals in the fire service. I'm glad to see that. The new rule treating volunteer fire departments the same as large paid fire departments doesn't make sense, and it threatens the survival of our local volunteer fire departments here in Putnam County and throughout New York State. That's why I brought this resolution forward and will be supporting it. Thank you.
Yes.
I just want to echo both Legislator Masserino and Goldman and hope that we can find also like I said, not one-size-fits-all solution for our volunteer firefighters so that we don't end up having to raise property taxes and pay fire to have paid fire, because that's really going to make a huge impact on our residents, and it would be just terrible to lose these people.
Yes.
I will definitely be supporting this. The fire departments have definitely made themselves heard, as have the elected officials. The key for me is the community believes the best service to taxpayers, which for OSHA to start this rulemaking process over from the beginning. And I hope that is the sentiment of the fire departments and the elected officials. It certainly is for me, because I know OSHA, it's a great organization. It doesn't make these rules just, because there's a reason. Somebody was killed, somebody was hurt. Some of these changes are probably necessary. When we talk about additional liabilities, we're now on record for, opposing, well, we're not opposing. I'm not opposing these OSHA standards that they want to impose. What I'm opposing is the way they went about it and the fact that our fire departments and our municipalities need some more time, and they need to be a part of the process. And I don't think the fire departments were a part of the process. I firsthand know what happens when regulations are passed and ignored, and people get killed. So with that, I'm definitely going to be in support of this resolution with the hope that you will consider, as a legislature, putting pressure on OSHA to expedite their process efficiently and soon, because there is a reason for this.
I agree with the chair. I think we're not debating the essence of it, but we're just debating the adverse impact that it has at this time.
Any other discussion? Our volunteer firemen have it difficult enough. Glad we're sending this resolution forward. All in favor? Aye. At this time, I'm going to call on Legislator Castellano, the chairman of the audit. The 6GG should have been.
Oh, okay, I feel that.
Okay. I'm going to call on Legislator Castellano, who's the chairman of the audit committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of legislators Elmer and Goulman, I'd like to bring forward the following. Item 6GG is the approval of the budgetary amendment for finance. This is the vacancy control factor for 2024. A couple times a year, the Commissioner of Finance will come forward with this request to move some money to the vacancy control factor. This is money that's gone unused for personnel. We're just going to hold it in the vacancy control factor and put it in the appropriate place when necessary. It's in the amount of $312,373 for this resolution.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. At this time, does anyone have any other business? Seeing no other business, item number 8 is recognition of public on agenda items. If you wish to speak, please step forward, state your name and the town in which you reside.
Sure. My name, good evening. My name is Donald Shields. I live in Manhattan. And I recently learned about an auction I was involved in, a tax auction, tax delinquent auction. An item I bid on, which was a parcel that was adjacent to mine. Apparently, the reasons I was given by the auctioneer and Mr. Dean was the person misbid. And I didn't find this out till a couple of weeks later when I ran into the person who's on the other side of that parcel. And I asked them, you should have talked to me. You didn't need to bid that much. They said, I didn't bid on the parcel. I pay way too many taxes as it is. So that's when I came up to your office. I've had things like this happen to me in the past when a high bidder does not fulfill their obligations. And you're always notified by the auction or the agency selling those assets. If I had not gone up to see Mr. Dean, I would have never known about this. When I found out about it, I actually watched the legislative meeting to see what went on. And from what I could gather, the reason for allowing this person to withdraw a bid or remove the item from the auction was, first I heard they misbid, which if anybody has dealt with an auction before, it requires at least 3 or 4 steps. It's kind of idiot-proof to keep you from misbidding. So one excuse I heard was they were bidding $1,600, which turned out to be $160,000. Now, if the town got the county got $160,000 for that parcel, that would make me really happy. Unfortunately, and then I heard that the person thought they were bidding on property in Putnam County, Florida, which generated a pretty big laugh from everybody here. What I didn't, and then I heard that that parcel, that item was going to be withdrawn from the auction. Okay, so in doing a little research, I find that the same person you allowed to say, okay, I misbid, so we're going to allow you to, we're not going to hold your feet to the fire and make you pay $160,000, which your terms and conditions state. And if you don't follow through on your bid, you're not allowed to bid on anything else for another 5 years. That's in your terms and conditions also. On top of that, I learned by looking at the auctioneer's website that the same person bid on at least 10 other properties and won them. So how can you let somebody out of their obligation on one item and allow them to bid on 10 more? If you look at your terms and conditions, I just heard everybody talk about rules when the farmers were here. Your terms and conditions, in item 33, it allows the legislature to take the next highest bid. And anytime this has happened to me in the past, that's what always happens. So I think by taking action to remove that, there could be a problem. But at the same time, the last thing I want to do is create problems. I just want to be treated fairly. And everybody goes into these auctions knowing you're at a disadvantage. And when something goes wrong, you hope that you're going to be treated fairly. Item number, the latter, item 33, allows you to sell to the next highest bidder, which is standard operating procedure when something like that happens. So that's my comment, and I'd like to know the reason why you're going to exclude that property from the auction. Sure.
We're not going to go back and forth. This is public comment, you comment. Can you wait around for 2 minutes? We should be done with the meeting and then
Absolutely.
we can have a discussion about it.
Oh,
But I'm curious, I'm kind of curious.
sure. And to somebody asked the question, if the auctioneer did the right thing, the auctioneer actually looked up anybody with adjacent parcels for every one of those items. So the auctioneer actually did a good job. Somebody said, you know, perhaps we should bundle these, which was a great idea. The auctioneer actually did that. So, but yeah, I'm happy to wait.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This time I'll have recognition of legislators. Any member of the legislature wishing to speak?
I just have a comment.
Yes.
Based on what we just experienced, and I'd like to get a head start on what our plan is, because we have a time limit for when we have to change the resolution, if that's what we decide to do, and vote on the ag district parcels. We have 120 days from when they were first proposed, from April 20th.
From the end of the notice period, which would have been April 30th.
So that's now, that's this month. So hopefully we're going to schedule that, not tonight, but
You called for a meeting on the 25th. I mean, it's...
I said we'll table it till the 25th because I knew that was at least a year.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what day of the week the 25th.
I didn't call for the meeting on the 25th. I had it done by the 25th.
Okay. Any other comment? Yes.
I voted yes because I would like to see that we could change the resolution, which would offer some relief to some of the properties on consideration.
We're going to have to figure this out because it wasn't tabled to a committee. It was tabled to a full meeting.
Special board.
Through the chair, the rules actually allow, at the discretion of the chair, a motion to lay, defer, or table may be referred to the appropriate committee subject to an override by the majority of the legislature. So you have the power to refer to a committee, and the legislature could override that decision, but it's yours. It's literally your call.
Can I just, if I may, so to clarify, it would go to committee and then we would have to have a special meeting before the end of the month.
That's a possibility.
Or right after, yeah, so.
Right, or right after the committee. Yep. Any other comment, legislative comment? Okay, motion to adjourn, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good night, everybody.